Hi my loves, and welcome to this video in which I will be discussing 10 things that I love about living in South Korea. Number one, this may be a little obvious, but I love living in Korea because of the K-pop concerts here. If you are a fellow K-pop fan watching this, then you know the struggle of being an international K-pop fan sometimes. A lot of groups don't tour outside of Korea, and even if they do, when they do a world tour, they're really just referring to a tour of America. Now granted, more popular K-pop groups do usually go to the UK now, but back when I first got into K-pop, they definitely did not. My favourite group back in the day were BTS, who back then were not the global K-pop sensations that they are today. Back then, they definitely were doing 0 shows in the UK. Before anyone comes for me, I did not move to South Korea with the sole purpose of seeing BTS live in concert. That would be insane. However, I do have a video linked up above on why I did move to Korea. If you're interested, you can go and watch that video. BTS were a very small part in moving to Korea. They weren't the sole decision. Again, that would be insane. Korea has a lot of exclusive events for certain groups. They do a lot of fan signs here in Korea and things like that. In addition to that, they just do a lot of special shows. Like I went to see the Asia Artist Awards, for example, where I got to see a bunch of artists, including Twice, BTS and Monster X. Oh, and 17 were there too. So I got to see a lot of my favourite groups just in one show, which is insane, honestly. Definitely one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Excuse the fact that this footage looks like it was filmed on a literal potato, but it pretty much was. My phone back then was not the best, and I'd also smashed it to oblivion, so yeah, not the best footage. But as you can see, I was really close to the stage when BTS were performing, and for all artists when we're performing for that matter. There's this thing in Korea where for certain events like this, foreigners get given like special tickets. So I was lucky enough to get one of these special tickets. For me, being a K-pop fan, living in Korea is obviously really cool. Reason number 2 that I love living in Korea is the skincare. I am absolutely obsessed with Korean skincare. It is one of my biggest passions in life. Is that sad? Probably, but I am just obsessed with it. I can't help it. I love the stuff. I'm addicted to Korean skincare. It is so good. It has honestly completely transformed my skin, and that is why I'm so obsessed with it. When I first started using Korean skincare, my skin was so bad. I had first moved to Korea and my skin was really going through it. My skin hated the environment in Korea. Obviously, being in Korea, the land of skincare, that's when I first tried Korean skincare, and yeah, my skin has just done a complete flip. My skin now is, touch wood, very good. For the most part, I don't really suffer with acne breakouts so much anymore. It's more, I get like a couple of pimples here and there, but compared to what my skin was like before, that's honestly not even an issue for me. Like, whatever, I don't care. I'll just put a pimple patch on it and be done with it. I feel like I'm getting very passionate about this. I know most people watching might be thinking, well, I can get Korean skincare where I live too. And yes, you can. I can get Korean skincare in the UK now, but it is much more expensive in the UK than it is in Korea. In Korea, it is so much cheaper, and in addition to that, when you go to an Olive Young here in Korea, you often get given a lot of free samples when you buy stuff. So yeah, they just kind of fuel your addiction. And it gets more over time, trust me. I absolutely love that. Like the free sample thing, so good. They never do that in England. You never get free anything in England. It's like a crime to give free stuff. Reason number 3 that I love living in Korea is cafe culture. I absolutely adore the cafe culture here. There are so many unique cafes, all with like different themes, different aesthetics, and honestly it's just so much fun to see how many different unique cafes you can find, especially in Seoul. I personally was especially excited to find out that they had British cafes in Seoul even. I was like, I need to go and investigate these cafes immediately. I did do that, and I've got to say that a lot of the ones that I visited I was really impressed with. I thought they did a really good job of mimicking the taste of some of the British cakes. The aesthetics in some of these cafes too were just so good. So I absolutely adore the cafe culture here. I think it's so cute and it's just cozy. It's really nice to just go out to these cafes and just have your own little corner, grab a sweet little treat and just chill for a while. In the UK, at least where I live, we pretty much only have chain coffee brands. So we have like Starbucks, we have Costa. It's not like they have specific themes or anything like that. It's just your regular average Joe coffee shop. It's really nice to have the variety of cafes here in Korea and just get to see what people do with places, like how they decorate it and stuff. I find it really interesting. It also got me much more comfortable with going to places on my own because of that. I just wanted to go and investigate places, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Reason number 4 has definitely got to be the food. The food here is so insanely good. I think there's a stereotype of British people not really being able to handle spicy food. I get the stereotype for the most part. It makes sense. A lot of our food is notorious for being bland and a lot of people who come to the UK constantly shit on our food, saying how bad it is and how it doesn't really taste of anything. So I think we have this reputation of not really being able to handle food that has strong flavors and a lot of spice. But I would say that stereotype, at least in my case, is definitely not true. I really do like spicy food and I love food that has like a lot of garlic in it. I absolutely adore garlic generally. In addition to the food being really good, it's also relatively cheap. Eating out in general in Korea is much cheaper than eating out in the UK, with the caveat of you eating Korean food. If you go out to eat foreign food in Korea, then that can be pretty much the same price as you would pay in the UK, honestly. But if you go out to eat Korean food, it's actually very affordable, especially outside of Seoul. In Seoul, don't get me wrong, also it's affordable, but it's just a known fact that if you move away from Seoul, then food and everything generally tends to get cheaper. It's affordable to the point where when I went back to the UK to visit recently, I was actually shocked at the price of eating out in the UK. Even the restaurants that used to be cheap are suddenly much more expensive. I don't know what it is. It feels like everyone in England just agreed that they would charge an extra fee for just breathing the air in the restaurant or something. I don't know. It's crazy. The prices right now in the UK are insane for eating out. So I definitely do not take the price of food here in Korea very lightly. I think that I'm very lucky to live in a place where I can go out and eat a meal and it not cost an absolute fortune. I also really like the sharing culture around food in Korea. I like that everyone just kind of gets one big dish or 2 or 3 dishes for the table and everyone just kind of shares the same food. I've really grown to love that actually. I think that's a really nice part of the culture here. So yeah, I just love everything surrounding food in Korea. I think that is definitely a huge reason why I love living here. Reason number 5 is crime rate. The crime rate in Korea is very low. Extremely low in fact, especially compared to my home country. In the UK you have to be so diligent and so aware of people all of the time because theft is such a problem in the UK at this point that you honestly can't even walk around with your phone in your pocket because someone is gonna just snatch it out. It's nice living in a country where I don't have to worry so much about my belongings being stolen by other people. It's such a non-issue in Korea that you can just leave your belongings on a table in a restaurant or a cafe and go to the toilet. It will all be on the table exactly as you left it. No one will have touched it at all. And the idea of that, to me as a British person, is still mind-blowing. I don't think I'll ever be over that, because I've always had the mindset of like, I have to have all of my belongings on me, zipped up, out of reach, out of sight.
Also, can you imagine this in Birmingham in the UK? Absolutely not. There would be nothing left.
I absolutely adore that about living in Korea. I really do not have to worry about my stuff getting stolen. Reason number 6 is the public transportation systems here in Korea. I'm sure that you probably already saw this one coming, but the public transport in Korea is very well known for being extremely efficient and, again, extremely affordable, much like the food. The public transportation in Korea is just so reliable, especially again compared to the UK. In Korea, if a train has a timetable and it tells you that it's going to be arriving at, say, 12:51, it will arrive at 12:51 exactly, to the T. It will be there at the station when it says it will be, funnily enough. However, in the UK, that is not the case. Buses, trains, it doesn't matter. Sometimes they just will not turn up. There will be no warning that it's not going to turn up. It just won't turn up, and you're just stood there like, huh, I could have sworn there's supposed to be a train right about now. On top of that, they have the audacity to be really expensive. Train tickets in the UK are much more expensive than they are in Korea, and you're paying so much more to get a service that is so much more shit. The public transportation is a huge plus for me living in Korea. So reason number 7 is that I love the Korean language. I'm studying Korean. Obviously, living in Korea, it's very important that you speak Korean so that you can communicate with people. Very important part of life. And obviously I get to interact with Korean people on a daily basis, so I'm constantly listening to other people around me and responding to people around me, and that is very useful when learning a language, especially the listening part, because you get used to how certain words sound, and then your recognition of those words just becomes so much easier because you're so used to hearing those words all the time. In addition, it's more useful to imitate what you hear. So obviously listening to the way that words are pronounced over and over again, it makes it easier for you to use the same pronunciation when you use those words. So yeah, funnily enough, living in Korea is really useful when you're learning Korean. That leads us to reason number 8, which is how affordable touring is. Museums and tourist attractions are surprisingly cheap, if not free, even in certain situations. This was an absolute shock to the system for me, again, as a Brit, because we get ripped off for pretty much everything in our country. God save the king. In a lot of cases, it costs like 20 quid just to enter a museum to see shit that we effectively just stole from other countries. Reason number 9 is I love how modern Korea is. I was totally in awe the first time I set foot in Seoul and saw how technologically advanced it was. It honestly felt like I had traveled to the future. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I got in a lift once and somebody pressed the button to a floor, and then shortly after I watched them press it again to cancel it, and I was like, what is this sorcery? I don't understand what has just occurred. To me, that is a foreign concept. Like in the UK, if you press a floor button in a lift, you go into that floor. Whether you like it or not, there's no two ways about it. You have locked in your decision. It is what it is. Even now, it sounds ridiculous because it's such a simple thing, but I never realized how much I needed the ability to cancel a floor in a lift until I lived here. And then I was like, why is this not a thing everywhere? This should be a thing everywhere. Mind-blowing. Revolutionary stuff. And last but not least, we have my 10th reason for why I love living in Korea, and that is scenery. Or should I say scenery slash weather, I guess. They kind of go hand in hand with what I want to talk about. Spring in Korea is just next level. Honestly, it is so beautiful because of course of cherry blossom season. The cherry blossoms, once they start to bloom, are a huge tourist attraction in Korea, and they are just so pretty, and honestly just make the best backdrop to any photo that you want to take, any video you want to take. It just looks so picturesque. Autumn in Korea is equally as gorgeous. The autumn foliage here is insane. The colors, they're just so bright and so vibrant. Absolutely insane. So beautiful. Summer is pretty bad, honestly. I'm gonna skip over summer. Summer is not my favorite thing about living in Korea. It's quite the opposite. I went from being a summer person in the UK to very much being not a summer person in Korea because of how hot the summers are here. It is like Satan's armpit. Winter, of course, a lot of the time in Seoul especially, it snows. So yeah, it's just, you have those very distinct seasons in Korea, and I absolutely love that. So yeah. Let me know what your favourite things about Korea are in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts. Please, if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel to see more content from me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!